Hello Storytellers, welcome to Bound by Words. My name is Maddie. If we haven't met yet, I'm a freelance editor and fantasy writer, and I'm starting a new work in progress today. Officially, as of today, there is 135 words and a Scrivener document that will be my next book, and I'm just really excited to get started, mostly because this is the first book that I've ever written that I don't have really an overarching idea for the plot. I don't have some, character relationship dynamic that I want to explore. I don't have any of the plot figured out. I don't have a goal here. If I'm being honest, I actually picked up this old notebook that I had bought over a year ago, and I had bought it to write on the beach because, as you know, there's no way that I was ever going to take my laptop anywhere near the beach in the sand. But I have it just this little bit more than half a page, almost 2/3 a page of writing. It is 135 words, actually, of a story that I thought was really interesting, and I'm a little disappointed that in the moment I didn't add more to it because I would have liked to see where my brain was going at the time, but I do know that it's not common. I don't want to say it's not common, that sounds bad, but I don't think it happens super often that you pick up your old writing and you think, wow, I really like that and I want to use that. Sometimes I pick up my old writing and I'm like, why would I phrase it like that? Or I pick up my old writing and I think fondly over the stress that I spent writing that project. But this is one of the few times where I just read a little bit of a scene and I thought, wow, I want to keep reading. And because I wanted to keep reading, I'm going to keep writing and I'm going to turn it into a story. So I don't really know what that's going to look like yet, but it is the World Wide Writeathon weekend, so I have the opportunity this weekend to spend some extra time fleshing it out and adding words and just figuring out where I want to go with it. So I took a little bit longer of a break than I wanted to or intended to at all. It's been about 2.5 weeks almost since I've added anything to the novel, which really kind of stinks, but I had some family stuff that was a lot more important. So my beginning of my novel writing process vlog is now sort of rolled into my beginning of Camp NaNoWriMo vlog because it is now a few days into July's Camp NaNoWriMo. If you want to hear about my goals or my plans for the month, then I will link that video up above, but primarily I'm focusing on time. So I have this little time log that I made so that I can track what I'm doing on which days and how many minutes I'm spending. I want to get 30 hours of productive work on my novel, but I'm going to try to make it so that no more than a third or somewhere around that is research related. With that being said, I'm going to do one of the more stressful things that I've done, and I'm going to pick my protagonist's name, because right now I've been calling them character, and that's not going to fly for much longer. I have about 3,000 words done. It's 3,320 from the World Wide Writeathon, and then another couple hundred from another time I sat down and wrote, but I'm under 4,000, and for that whole 4,000 words, I have just been calling this person character. So I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to come up with the protagonist's name, and the goal here is really just to find a name that I like, that I'm okay with, knowing that I can change it in the future. And I'm also going to keep a running list of names that I see that I like in a file in Scrivener. So that's how I want to do all of my research and organization. I'm using Scrivener how it's intended to be used. So all of my research on the 27 chapters methods that I did is in a file under the research tab, and this is going to be in a file under the characters tab. It's not really going to be a character template. It's just going to be a chart of names and origins and meanings, just of the ones that I like. So I'm setting a timer and I have 15 minutes to peruse names, and then I'm going to pick one. So that wasn't nearly as painful as I thought it would be. I think I've temporarily settled on Illyri. I really like the sound of it. It's spelled very simply, and I kind of am a little bit more fond of it than I thought I'd be of a name I would pick. So I saved a couple of names that I found that I'd like for places, but that's so far my protagonist. If you didn't watch my July goals video, on top of having this time goal, I'm also giving myself some like tasks that I want to accomplish throughout the month on this like rolling checklist. So one of the tasks is a working title, and another one of the tasks is picking if I want this to be a single point of view or a dual point of view. So I am flirting with the idea of doing a dual point of view, and I know that there's some structural stuff I have to do with that, but I'm going to spend some time drafting now, and probably a Leary's point of view, but I'm going to be very open-minded of where I would insert what in a second point of view, because I think I want to start writing the second point of view soon. And as of now, it's something that I might start writing, and then, I might still change my mind and, delete that or save that in a different file separately. But I definitely want to write something in a second point of view so that I can get a sense of how it sounds, which means that I'll eventually need to come up with another character name. I do have a name that I was saving from one of my old novels that I wrote a few chapters of and then ended up giving up on because I wasn't a big fan of the story. But I am a big fan of that name, so I might recycle that that male protagonist name. But I want to write something in that second point of view soon, and it might be something that I scrap entirely. I might write it and then save it in a different file, but I really want to have it written to see how it reads and see how it feels before I make a final decision if it's going to be single or dual point of view. I also am still trying to use that 27 chapters method. Turns out that it's not this elaborate planning method. There's not a whole lot of research. It's one of Katie Tastic's old videos. She does this 27 chapters breakdown, and a lot of the written resources I found on it just cited her video. So I mapped out those points, and I made files for each of the first 9 points, and I think I've planned 2 or 3 ahead, but I'm not really certain that that's where I want the story to go yet. But I don't want to stop drafting while I think about it, which is kind of funny, but I'm going to continue to draft and tweak the idea of sort of what I want to happen next, but I don't plan on, planning out plot points more than just a few ahead as of now. So I got another 700 or so words down before I needed a break, and I went outside to tend to the garden, and my little spider friend that I mentioned in the World Wide Writeathon vlog, he's gone. I had this spider that was on my hammock chair stand that he was pretty big and he was green, and I called him my gardening buddy, and I didn't have the heart to move him so that I could write outside, but we had a couple big storms and he disappeared. I hope he's okay wherever he is in the world, but what is important is that he's not on my hammock chair stand anymore, so I can sit and write outside. It is a little bit too hot during the day to do that. Honestly, this week it's in the high 80s and it's just so humid, but in the evenings and once it starts to get dark, I think I'm going to spend a lot of time over the next couple weeks writing outside if all goes well.
Life and an atmosphere. I look closer and I can't believe what I'm seeing down there is me.
So I finished this first week a little bit ahead. I had 9.6 hours logged on the 8th, so the 8th I should have had 8 hours, so I did have 1.6 hours extra, but unfortunately I'm starting this next week a little bit behind because I took off the 9th and the 10th to go camping with my family. I just wanted to spend some time with them and relax, but I've been doing otherwise pretty good about not missing days, at least doing a little bit on every day. I missed the 1st and the 7th, but just that, and then this 9th and the 10th. So it's the 11th now. It's the beginning of the second week, and I do have some extra goals. I want to get better about logging. I have been good about logging the minutes on my little worksheet and the about times that I start and end, but I have been really bad about writing what I'm working on, and I want to make sure that I'm spending at least a third of the time drafting, hopefully about half the time or more drafting, pardon the kitten tail and the distance, but I want to get into a better habit of writing down exactly what I'm working on so I can see where I'm really allotting my time. There was one of these things that I have quite a bit of time logged, but I was doing a write-it on YouTube, so I know I wasn't writing or working that whole time, so I want to be like more detailed there. I also made this like to-do list for my running to-do list that I've just been using on paper. It only has 2 things on it now because I found my black whiteboard. So at the beginning of this second week, I'm going to be wiping off all the old stuff on my black whiteboard, and I'm going to be setting up a template there for my running to-do list and probably some goal checkers. So I am about 84 minutes behind, and that's not too bad. I feel like if I have 1 or 2 days where, you know, I can sit down and write for an hour and a half or 2 hours instead of just like 45 minutes to an hour, which I have done on some of the days, then I should be perfectly caught up. I still haven't decided if I want this to be single or dual point of view yet. I did a little bit of brainstorming for dual point of view, but I haven't done any of the actual writing for it. But I'm looking forward to going into this second week and figuring some of that stuff out.